heart, for the eyes, some health stuff.
What remedy is that?
What?
Asparagus.
Really?
I mean, it's a certain cabbage, certain cabbage that if you soak it in the wine. Joking around, Mars, joking around. Morning, everybody. Okay, we're on Nun Aleph and Aleph, 51. You might have a Gemara underneath if Yaron comes. Do you have a Gemara? Any Gemaras over there also?
Yeah. One more seat.
Yeah, Yaron will sit right there. So, thank you very much. Nun Aleph and Aleph, 51a. So we now Tana Rabbanan. We are at the two dots on Nun Aleph of an Aleph. You sent to the group, did anyone read they read it already? Tana Rabbanan. You have it? Everyone has it? Morris? Shisha Devarim, yes. Okay, you got it? The kiva. Now, Shisha Devarim never about asparagus. 6 things they said about asparagus. Some commentaries tell us, one of the commentaries say that the reason why the Gemara brings in about this Gemara about the health and the things that they said about asparagus is because similar to the Gemara before, that the Gemara says 4 things were said about bread. So now the Gemara is contrasting. Bread, we said 4 things about bread. If you recall, you shouldn't put pass a cup of wine over your bread because it might drip and ruin your bread. We spoke about you shouldn't put raw meat on the bread because it'll ruin the bread. We said you cannot let it throw bread. And we said you can't lean the pot, hold the pot, can't throw bread because it's not respectful for the bread. Some people have a custom on Friday night in some houses or some places that or on Shabbat, they throw the bread. But according to the Gemara, the Gemara states you can't throw bread. And the way the halacha seems to say that that the difference between bread and all other foods is that all other foods you could throw. If it falls, it won't get ruined. Peanuts or anything that you fall that would not get ruined, you could throw. I want to have a catch with you with peanuts. I want to have a catch with you with an apple. And let's say if I know it will fall, I'm will still eat it because it's so hard. I'll just wash it off and I'll eat it. But I can't throw bread. Why? Because bread is a basic staple of life, and it's not respectful to throw bread. So now you have to ask a Syrian rabbi to explain to you the minhag that they throw bread.
Not also read food. I do the White House. My father-in-law won't do it.
Father would not do it, right? Because he's concerned for this, the halacha.
You have to break the breads. Make sure
To cut hamotzi on both bread and the lechem, make sure 2 bread. Okay, very good.
He takes from both pieces.
Right.
He eats it.
Okay, very good. So now,
55.
Tana Rabbanan. Shisha Dvarim Nemru Basparagus. Ein Shosin Mimenu. You can't drink from it. Kishuhu also El Kishuchai. You have to, when you're making this drink, you have to make sure that the wine is not diluted with any water. Meaning it's just the raw wine, undiluted wine, which is very strong, but now it got the flavor of the asparagus, that vegetable that was soaked in it, and then you drink it as a drink. Malay. And you're supposed to drink this asparagus from a full cup. The cup is supposed to be full. Now, the way the Aruch explains, the name of that, there's some morning. There was, you heard about like demons and certain type of forces, that certain things that had power to cause damage. So in those days, there were these things that had, power to cause damage to people. And today it's not really common, these type of forces, these type of, type of things. So, but in those days, when they had these type of things that would cause damage, mazikim, so therefore they said there were certain things that you needed to do in order to prevent getting damaged, getting hurt from these, like you hear of spirits or these type of things. Would say that what?
You believe in this stuff all the time.
Right. So I'm saying so the Gemara, so the way that he said it's not common that these things that cause damage that you don't see. You don't think there's these things like you ever heard of a demon,
I
shadin,
know.
like similar to these type of things, but we don't. It's not common that we have these problems today. But it seems like there was more of an issue years ago. Maybe there was more. Maybe people were more spiritual, and there were also these forces, more forces that would cause damage, and therefore, we're on Nun Aleph and Nun Aleph, you know.
So the forces that cause damage. I mean, they stop.
They're not so common, meaning Hashem gave those forces to the world.
Yeah.
These forces, and just like there's a physical force that causes damage, a person attacks a person with chas v'shalom, an instrument. Sometimes people attack with a knife. So Hashem had created in the world certain things that have abilities to cause. You don't see them. Same way you see a person is a creation of God, and you see a person sometimes wants to attack another person, right? For whatever reason, Hashem, a person that of course a person is going to be punished for deciding to attack a person, right? So there were these other forces that God created in the world that had the ability to cause damage to people. Things that we don't see, they're not, what?
What happened?
I
The
mean,
building in Florida that fell down.
yeah, so, okay, that's a good question.
Golden structure.
I'm saying, obviously Hashem wanted that, but I'm saying, but that build, what I'm saying, it doesn't seem funny that, I don't know that there was this outside force that brought the building down. But there was there's this concept of demons, of outside force that had power, and therefore we would do certain things. Maybe that's why maybe you don't, perhaps maybe the law don't walk alone. A Torah scholar shouldn't walk alone at night. Certain things that because then you were subjected to these. Maybe we learned about Psachim. You were open when you were open to more possibility of being hurt from these type of forces that God created, that placed in the world. So that's what the Gemara now is referring to. If you want to look further to the subject in Maseches Psachim, I think in the 10th parak, there's a discussion about these things.
So is it because just asking that the people didn't understand a lot of things? So people were dying of, let's say, corona, instead of bacteria, they would blame outside forces, like things that were unexplainable. People made it spiritual instead of like people.
Right. So maybe then it was like, we'll call it spiritual, but it was not really. But it was a spiritual force, but it was a negative. Now, I don't want to call it spiritual. It was some sort of
physical.
Well, we'll call it. Let's say we have to call it demons. It's something. There's something that has a power to cause damage. Let's see what the Gemara says. And then also, when you want to drink this cup, you're supposed to have it malay. It's supposed to be a full cup of this wine that the vegetable was soaked into, this asparagus. Mekabel will be amin. You you accept the cup of wine with your right hand, and you drink it with what? Your left hand. So that, now, generally speaking, when you say a bracha with your right hand. Here we're talking about the way you pick it up, and generally in halacha, you pick up something with two hands, right? Let's say if Yaron is going to be giving me a cup of wine to say a bracha, say Birkat HaMazon, I would pick it up with two hands and then put it into my right hand. But this item is, again, there's some sort of, it works with different mystical stuff. You pick it up with your right hand, you pick it up with your right hand, and you place it into what? Your left hand. That's how you drink it. Ve'ein mesichin acharov. And you're not supposed to talk after you have this drink. It's wine. It's wine that's soaked with, yeah, right. But in medication, we said from Tosfot earlier, if you have a medication that you have a taste, you have a gain, right? If a person takes medication, has no taste, no flavor, no enjoyment, you don't make a bracha on medication. Okay, but I'm saying, but I mean, this is a food. It's a good point, but this is a food. It's wine, and there's some benefit. You're saying, well, if it would be very bitter, that would be a good question. But it's good morning, Yosef Tzadik. To drink it. Right, but it was wine. It was wine mixed with There's vegetable, right?
Comme the vegetable on is nothing, so the vegetable, the wine makes something.
And you drank the wine.
But we eat.
I don't know if you drank the vegetable up. It could maybe just soak the vegetable.
Morning, Rabbi. Sorry.
Morning
I
to
was
give it a nice, no
yes.
problem. Well, no problem to give a flavor to the wine. Take the properties, the nutrients out of the vegetable.
I've never had that thing before.
I never had it.
So you can tell.
Right. Now the aim of seeking vote. So again, aim of seeking you're not allowed to talk after you drink until you eat something. If you take this drink, don't talk until what? You ate something else. The aim of seeking vote, you have to drink this drink to be beneficial. Drink it in one shot. Drink it straight. And after you finish drinking it, you got to give it back to the person who gave it to you. Again, that's mystical. We have Yosef and Tzaddik. We have mystical stuff here. Also, you need to take, the saliva that comes into your mouth after you drink this drink, you're supposed to spit out some saliva. And also it says, we said that after you drink this drink, you must eat something. And also you should, also we said the drink was made out of raw wine, so it's pretty heavy and was raw, except you just had the vegetable in it instead of wine. So you said you have to eat something right afterwards. But what do you eat? Ela bimino. You have to eat something that's similar to this item. We'll see what that means. It means you have to eat more. It sounds like you have to eat more respect. Meaning the food that you have to eat is the vegetable. I mean, you had the drink that you soaked the vegetable in, then you remove the vegetable, you had the drink. But on Shabbat, you got to be careful. You always move the good from the bad. Don't take the bad from the good. But after you drank the drink, you need to eat the food that was similar to what you put into the drink, which would be the vegetable. That's the Gemara. Again, this is mystical stuff. If you're drinking this asparagus for health purposes, you need to know what do you say? It's good for the heart. It's good for the stomach. It has benefits. Right. So
wait, Rabbi, just because I probably missed a little bit, just so you can clear. So I know we're talking about the asparagus, okay?
Right.
What you should do with that again? Just eat it like that, or cook it, or drink it?
So they soak the vegetable in the wine, and then after they soak it in the wine, they drink the wine, and then they drink it, and the Gemara says for it to have the proper effect, and there shouldn't be any negative effects from any demons or any forces. There are many conditions need to be met the way you drink it. You drink it in one shot. You drink it from a full cup. You pick it up with your right hand, you put it in your left hand. There's a lot going on. It's also amazing to think about that the right hand, how you pick something up, how you put it into the other hand. People think about right hand, left hand so much, but it's a very important thing because right hand represents strength, and Yosef will tell us, you can tell me about all those things. What the right represents, what the left represents, right?
Because right you give, okay? Normally you give your right hand, okay?
Right.
And the left is basically taking. That's where the gevurot, okay? And that's why, by the way, the mystical, people putting the red string on the left hand. I think on the left.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, on the left. Why? To sweetness, like wine in a way, the sweetness, the gevurot, it's dinim. So you want to sweetness the dinim. Yeah, okay. So basically the string supposed to protect you because the red symbol of the mercy, of the chasadim.
Okay. Very good. So now the Gemara continues. Vatanya is still going to talk a little bit pot. You have a different writer that says that after you drink the drink, you have to have bread right away. You don't have to have the same food. You don't have to have the vegetable, right? So you have it as a contradiction. One place says you have to have bread right afterward. One place says you have to have the vegetable right after you drink the drink. So the Gemara is a little kasha. It depends. What did you soak? So what did you say? What was in the drink? The Gemara says, "Ha b'dechamra, ha b'deshikra." When you made the asparagus from wine, that means you put the vegetable, you soaked it in wine. So then you need to have bread right afterwards. But ha b'deshikra. But when the asparagus, when you had from beer, or let's say you made it from beer, from dates, beer from dates, then you can, right afterwards, you go ahead, if you made it from beer, you made it from dates, that's, hey, some people used to make beer from dates. There's different ways you make beer. You make beer either from grain, or you make, that's why on Pesach there's a problem of beer, chametz, because it's made from grains, or there's beer from dates. And if it was made from the dates, so then you could go ahead and soak, and then right after you eat this, you drank the drink that you had soaked the asparagus in this beer, then, which was made from dates, then you could just eat the dates right afterwards. Now, the Gemara says, it depends. If you made from wine, that's when you have to, then you can use bread. If it's made from if it was soaked in beer, so now it sounds like from here, the beer they made from figs or from dates. And so whatever you made it from, then you eat right afterwards that property that you had put into it. If you made it from dates, you put it into dates right afterwards. Made it from figs, eat figs right afterwards. Now the Gemara says, Tani Chada, Lalat Yofeh, that asparagus, this drink is, we want to say hello to Yosef's child. This drink, Lalat Yofeh, is very good for good morning. Lalat Yofeh, it's good for the La'at. La'at is an acronym. Lamid, Ayin, Tet. Lev, the heart, it's good for your heart. Einayim is your eyes, and Tchol is your spleen. You should know, my father of blessed memory told me, the Midrash says, and I found it afterwards in the Midrash, that in Megillat Esther, there were the runners, that the king, when they would make a proclamation, the people would run. They had hired people, like we have car services, taxis, they had runners that would go run, not marathon runners that would run to bring the news or whatever. They removed, the people would remove the spleen of the runners. Because by removing the spleen, they could run faster. Now, everything Hashem gave you to the body has a purpose. So obviously, there's something, it might be a benefit. They might run faster, but they might lose other things. They say over here that the spleen is one of the things, is the Gemara says, it brings happiness to the person. It's one of those organs, like it says the kidneys are the place that gives you think of advice, ideas, and counsel and advice through your kidneys. The spleen seems to be the part of your body that brings you helps out with your simcha, with your emotion of happiness. So if they remove the spleen, so these guys might not have been such happy people, these runners, but they weren't interested in being happy. The people interested, they should run fast. Like you have today with people who run marathons, they take certain drugs, take certain chemicals, whatever, to help them run fast. A lot of Olympic champions, right? A lot of Olympic champions are caught taking certain, right? You know what I'm talking about, everybody? Substances, just like baseball players, take certain things that they're not supposed to be taking. So even though it's not for their health, it's not healthy, but people do things even though they're not healthy. Yes.
Rabbi, I don't know what it's the name of it, but they're taking, like Louis Armstrong, they're taking those cells that
regenerate, right. There are certain people that do, right. So, but that's what you should think about the Tchol, is that they remove the spleen. Now, so now here the Gemara says this is good for the spleen. That means there's certain things in see if you look up the spleen, right? Look up Morris, you want to look up on Google spleen, right? Take a look. What the purpose of the spleen?
Purpose?
Yeah. Right? So you want to read. People don't hear about the spleen too much.
Invading germs in the blood.
Fights invading germs in the blood.
Controls the level of blood cells.
Controls the level of blood cells.
Filters the blood or any old or damaged red blood cells.
Filters the blood. So if
Very
surgery,
important.
very important.
Very
That's big time. And they removed it.
He wants the cemetery to
right? These are the old time running. And here the Gemara is saying that this drink is helpful for the spleen. But we need the spleen to be in good shape, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a very important part of the body. So that's what the Gemara says. This drink, thank you very much, is good for the la'at, but the ramat kosher. But it's not good for the head. This drink has a negative effect on your head. Maybe you get headaches from it. It's not so good for your stomach. And I presume why it's not so good for your stomach is because it's so strong. The wine, it's made out of undiluted wine, which is very strong, which would cause you maybe to become loose stomach and this type of stuff. And also it has some other negative effect regarding. So the Gemara says, "V'tanya idach," and the Gemara says we had that also in the Gemara. Tachtonios is a sickness by the rectum. You know, where the person moves his bowels. This will have a negative effect on that. Now, so the Gemara says, "Tanya idach." What do you mean? We have another brighter. Yafeh, that it's good for the head. Yafeh, it's good for the head. It's good for the stomach. It's good for the rectum. Balalat kosher. But it's bad for the heart. It's bad for the eyes. It's bad for the spleen. So we have two things that say opposites. One place it says that this asparagus is good for your heart, good for your eyes, and so on. And the other place says it's total opposite. The it depends how you made the asparagus. Did you make it out of wine? Did you soak it in wine, or did you soak it in beer? So that's what the Gemara says. The chamra, the shikra. The brisa where it says it's good, it's talking about when it was made from wine. And the brisa that's where it's good for your heart, it's good for your eyes, it's good for your spleen. But when it's you can think about the way he was explaining with the blood cells and all that stuff that our good friend Morris was explaining, the spleen is evolved with some red and blood. Just maybe there's a connection over there that we find in halacha that on Pesach we use red wine, symbolic of some say it's a symbolic of the blood of the Jewish kids that were slaughtered. So maybe think about it. I presume the strong properties of the red. So the wine, that was very helpful for the blood. That was very helpful for the blood, meaning for the spleen, and good for the heart, and good for the eyes. But the brisa that says it's not good for the spleen and so on and so forth, that's when it's made out of beer. It's not made from what?
Google's clean asparagus. It says it helps you. Yeah. Asparagus contains all compounds that the spleen.
How do you like that?
Wow.
You hear what the man says? And he Googles, he says asparagus contains thousands of years ago, the Gemara is talking that they say that the researchers today say that asparagus is good for the spleen. Here we have a Gemara. Here we have a Gemara thousands of years ago, and the Gemara is telling you.
Anything like on
It's all there. You gotta just find
It's
it.
all there.
It's all there.
I mean, I'm surprised that they know something about the spleen.
Yeah, they know everything. The Torah has we know the Torah has all the knowledge is here. Tane Chada, we looked at one price that after you have this drink, the saliva that's in your mouth, you should spit out. It's not healthy. That bacteria, whatever's in your mouth after you drink it, spit it out. The Tanya, and then we have another price, and one price says, sorry, Tane Chada, if you spit out right after you drink, look at that's not healthy for you to spit out. One price says it's not healthy. One price says you have to spit out. So again, the words against the contradiction. One price says you should spit out after you drink. One price says you shouldn't spit out. It's like you ever go to the dentist, right? After you have to spit out the water because you might have been bleeding or whatever it is. Here, one price says if you spit afterwards, you get sick. Tanya, the other price says lo rak achar. If you don't spit out, look at you, then you'll get sick. Look kasha. Hobe the chamra. The brisa that says that you should not spit afterwards is with the wine. If you drank the asparagus made with the wine, that you soak the wine, but beer, you got to spit it out. If you spit the saliva out. Amar Ravashi. Ravashi says, Hasha the Amrit. Now that you said lo rak achrav loker, you said that if you don't spit out, it's dangerous. Then loker. So Meimav Nizrakin, so the water of the asparagus, meaning what you get in your mouth, the saliva, afilu bifnei hamelech. Even if you're sitting, thank you so much, Paul. Have a great Shabbos. So much shalom. It'll be Sunday at 10 o'clock. Even in front of the king, even in front of the king, you should go ahead and spit out this this saliva that's in your mouth because it's dangerous. Now, I presume we're talking about in front of a king. It's a king that won't kill the person for spitting it out afterwards, because you're not going to spit out the saliva in front of the king. And obviously, in front of the king, the way you act in front of the king is different than the act among other people. And therefore, it says that when you should always remember you're in front of Hashem. You should always visualize that you're in Shavisi Hashem, the negative, you're in front of Hashem. The same way you will act differently if you're in front of a king, a person. You would act differently. If I'm in front of Yaron, I'm in front of myself. I try to act better in front of Yaron, right? I try to be more, myself. If I'm not tucked in, my tie is not straight. Okay, what's the big deal? No, but if I'm in front of Yaron, I want to try to have the tie look nice. I want to try to, right? So when if you're in front of a king, you would be careful about what you do, what you say. So how much more so in front of Hashem? So when you're in front of Hashem, how much more so you have to go ahead and what? And work and be careful in every move you make. So here the Gemara is saying that, and I think the Gemara means, of course, it's not. The Gemara means to emphasize that's exactly. You have to recognize that. Therefore, your actions have to be special every moment. But here the Gemara emphasizes that even if you're in front of a king, but it's a safety issue, and therefore you're allowed to spit out, and it won't. And the king even would not look at it in a negative way, because he understands you're doing it for what? For health purposes. That's what the Gemara wants to emphasize, that you should even do it in front of a king, so hopefully the people will listen and definitely be careful to go ahead and spit it out when they're in the privacy of their own home, by knowing how serious it is that we allowed you we encourage you to spit it out even in front of a king. Amar Rabbi Yishmael ben Elisha. Rabbi Yishmael ben Elisha, we are now 2 lines into the wide lines of the Gemara, Nun Aleph. Amar Rabbi Yishmael ben Elisha, Shlosha Dvarim Sachli Suriel. 3 things I was told from Suriel. Who is Suriel? Suriel is one of the angels. That's Sar HaPanim. You have it in Israel. It's the minister of the interior, right? So here it means this angel is on the inside. He comes in front of Hashem. This malach sounds like there are many different malachim. We know the different angels have different responsibilities, and this angel comes. Has an inside ticket, constantly to come in front of Hashem. And this angel, what'd you say? On a regular basis, this angel, it sounds like, has an ability to come to visit Hashem. He's a Sarah Panim, he faced, and if Yishmael ben Elisha, he mentioned, it says in the Breita that says that Yishmael ben Elisha went up to heaven. But he mentioned the name of Hashem. And by mentioning the name of Hashem, he was the Kohen Gadol, Yishmael ben Elisha. And it says over here, my commentary here, Rabbi Nachanano said that Yishmael ben Elisha was the Kohen Gadol. And he was able to... Well, we're going to say it in 1 second, but he was able to speak with malachim. Some say the famous Rabbi Yishmael ben Elisha, he entered Nachnasni lehakta ketoris l'fnai l'fnim, and he saw the malach, and he said, Shmuel b'ni bracheni, a very famous song. That's the same Rabbi. Some say this is the same Rabbi Yishmael ben Elisha, and some say over here that he said Hashem's name, and through using Hashem's name, he went up to the heavens, and he was told the following, and we're going to end with this: Al titoch halukha v'shachris mi'ar hashamash v'tobash. In the morning, don't take your shirt that you're gonna wear from your, let's say you have someone in the house that works for you, and don't take your garment from him directly and put it on. Rather, get dressed yourself. Put on your garment yourself. I presume maybe it's not a good sign that someone else dresses you. You know, it's like, I don't know, when a person passes away, they put some trachichim on the person. I don't know if it's connected. Therefore, just like we say, you shouldn't hand somebody bread directly, bread from hand to hand. You know, so maybe, I don't know, you shouldn't take your garment from the shamash. Al tito liadecha mimi shalonata yadav. Don't wash your hands in the morning. Someone didn't wash his hands. Let's say two people wake up in the morning. One person washed his hands. One person didn't. No one washed their hands until dying. If I didn't wash my hands yet, I should not pour on somebody else's hands who didn't wash his hands. If I didn't wash, I shouldn't wash your hands if you didn't wash your hands yet. Once I wash my hands right, left, then I could wash your hands. If I didn't do it, I shouldn't wash your hands. Now, talzik asparagus and the drink, this drink of asparagus that you made, after you drink the drink and you drink whatever amount you wanted to drink, give it back to the person who gave it to you. That's a mystical idea. Why do I got to give back to the person I gave it to me? Why can't I give it to somebody else? That's who you have to give it back to. And now, Libnei Tachsif, there's these demons, these forces that have power to do damage, and their name is, so they're called Tachsifis. Some say these demons are called Istalagnis, Shemalache Chavala. These are like angels of destruction, bad angels. Misapil Adam. Now, this is explaining all three things. These angels of destruction are waiting for a person, and they say, when is somebody going to come to one of these three things? I'm waiting for someone to come to one of these three things because that's when I have the ability to cause destruction. Like we learned from Psachim. Sometimes these shadim, these 8 things of destruction, have the power to damage more in dirty places, in nighttime, when people aren't around. So there's certain periods of time that's why the timing is very important. The time of the day, there's certain things that have forces, different powers at different times. So therefore, we go ahead and if a person does these things, whenever they do any of these 3 things, that's when the person is vulnerable to have damage. We should all be zocher to have good things, protection, and remember, Torah protects you, mitzvahs protect you. The more Torah you learn, the Gemara says, when you do mitzvahs, it protects you during the time you do the mitzvah. And I think it says about Torah study protects you both during the time of the mitzvah and the rest of the day. The Chafetz Chaim, so you're going to have protection. Some people have security, they call armed forces, they got dogs to protect them. The Torah is the best protection. Hashem will protect everybody. Have a great Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat which is Shalom. Kitzetzei. Lamachama. Pash Kitzetzei. And it says you go into war aleivecha, against your enemy. So some explain, not only does it mean your literal enemy, but the Yetzer Hara is the oivecha. Who's your enemy? Your number one enemy is the evil incarnation. But if you say Tzela Muhammad, you hear your own, you go out against that enemy. You don't wait for the enemy to attack. You don't be a sitting duck. What do? You go out. You take a proactive strike. You launch the missiles. Don't be like the Israelis in 1973 that were sitting ducks. Be like the Israelis in 67. Go out and attack. Don't wait to get hit. Like it says, if someone's coming to hit you, you hit them first. Don't be like the New York Police Department that say, did you see a weapon? Did anybody get hurt? No, we like the police, by the way. I'm pro-police. But problem is with the police, they have to wait till somebody gets hurt in order for them to respond. We shouldn't be that way. Like the Swiss Pasha, Torah says, put a gate up. Protect the house. No one should fall. Have a great, don't wait for someone to fall, then we'll put up the gate. Am I saying good, Yaron?
Shabbat Shalom.
All right. Have a great day, everybody.
Oh, why you moved to New York?
Yeah, that's it. I'm staying next to the rabbi. You don't.
No, really? That's it? No more Kuala Lumpur?
For now, we stay. For now, I'm gonna be here.
He's waiting for Mashiach. He's waiting for Mashiach. He knows the planes are very good in New York. They're gonna go boom right there. He doesn't have to make stopovers.
I'm gonna be next to the rabbi. Exactly.
Shabbat shalom, Yaron.
Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos, Yosef Tzaddik.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi.
Yosef, I love that smile.
Thank you, Rabbi.
You keep on smiling. Smiles are very important.
Okay, Rabbi. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.